Trump talks here about how this was an interesting statement he made about how he pardoned everyone, Biden that is, but himself. Take a listen.
This guy went around giving everybody pardons. And you know, the funny thing, maybe the sad thing, is he didn't give himself a pardon. And if you look at it, it all had to do with him.
Well, isn't that interesting? Maybe the sad thing. I want to just play this other real short clip, and then we'll talk about this Tommy boy, because they kind of go together, in my view. They kind of go together because he also said this about his last 4 years.
I went through 4 years of hell by the scum that we had to deal with. I went through 4 years of hell. I spent millions of dollars in legal fees, and I won. But I did it the hard way. It's really hard to say that they shouldn't have to go through it also. It is very hard to say that.
So when you do this, right, with your fingers, be careful not to ram the fingers together and hurt one. But when you piece that all together, it kind of seems like he's not ruling out the possibility of going after Biden. There's some other people he's already going after, sort of, that we'll talk about here in a second. But that's what I take from that. I'm not saying that he will for sure. I hope that he does, because again, what has happened over the last, and it's really not the last 4 years, it's really the last 8 to 10 years. But what has happened over this last, whatever period you want to choose, we'll just call it the last decade, is we've created a situation, and really it's since 2008, so it's more than that, but we've created this situation where there's no consequences for actions. And those precedents that have been set are just terrible. So as a result, everyone just gets away with doing whatever they want. And I get that we're in control now, and I get that we're moving in the right direction, and there's reason for hope, and we're talking at the top of the show about how happy we are and how great this week has been. All those things are true still, and you should feel those things. But we can't take our damn foot off the gas, and we can't let people skate free, because then it just continues that same precedent. Then it's just, hey, we have office we're holding the office for 4 years, maybe 8 or 12 if we can get J.D. Vance in there afterwards. But we're doing that, and then as soon as you're back in, nothing has changed. You just go back to doing it the way, there have to be new precedents set.
Right, and I think as far as Biden is concerned, I think he believes that the Hur report was his pardon. When Hur came back and said that he appeared to be confused and that a jury probably would most likely not convict him from any crimes, I think that's his get-out-of-jail-free card. And moving forward, he's only going to get worse. His decline is going to get much worse over the coming months and years. And so if Trump does decide to go after him for corruption, he's going to do what Democrats always do and get the sympathy side. Oh, look at mean old Darth Cheeto. He's going after poor old infirmed Joe Biden. Look at him. He's got a blanket on his legs. He's confined to a wheelchair. They're going to play that shit up. He's going to be even more despondent if Trump goes after him. When I say even more despondent, he's just going to look miserable in public to get that sympathy going. So that's going to be a tough one, but I try and remind everybody about the former sheriff of Los Angeles County, Lee Baca. Lee was charged, even though he was in the throes of Alzheimer's disease, went to court, was found guilty, and ended up going to prison with Alzheimer's because of the corruption that he fostered within that department. So the precedent for me has been set. If you're going to hold a sheriff who has Alzheimer's to that bar, then you know what the Democrats like to say, and the journalist, nobody's above the law.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, and that's what people need to remember, because that is going to be the image. So this guy's dying of dementia. Do we really care? Is it worth our time to go after? Is it worth spending taxpayer dollars to do this? Just let him go right off into the sunset. No. How about hell no? Look at what he did with taxpayer dollars to not just Trump, but all of these people, to some of you listening in some cases. So you cannot forget that. We're so conditioned, and that's the problem. That's how we got here over all these years as conservatives and Christians in this country, is we've taken this turn the other cheek mindset of golly gee, whatever. We'll just move on from that. Let's just do it with kindness, which there's some elements of that make sense and are in there, and that's good, right? It's also not as biblical as you would think if you read further along. But point being is we've always done that. And by doing that, we've allowed them to just keep getting further and further and further along with their agenda and having less and less and less consequences. You can't do it. So if I don't think he's going to go after Biden personally, but if I think he should, and I think if he does, that anyone who has that, oh man, like I feel like Sarah McLachlan should be playing right now as we see images of Joe on TV. Should we really be going after him? Yes. Absolutely, we should. Because you got to remember what happened these last 4 years.